Squash rackets is a game where speed, skill and fitness combine. Rumour has it that squash was first played at Harrow School well over 100 years ago. And nowadays, in England alone, there are more than 1 million players using nearly 3,000 courts. Squash is the sport that's growing faster than any other in the UK. It's a game played in 45 countries all around the world. There are several reasons for its popularity. It's an easy game for the beginner to play. It's an enjoyable way of keeping fit, giving tremendous exercise in a short period of time. It's not expensive, it's unaffected by the weather, and can be played at any time of day. It's played by a wide section of the community, children and men and women of all ages, for it's a participant sport. These two international players show what can be achieved after years of practice, training and dedication to their sport. This series not only looks at the shots used in the game, how and when to play them, it discusses practices, basic tactics, fitness, training, and some rules of the game. The game of squash is played in a rectangular court of standard dimensions, having composition walls, a wooden floor, and in the case of this championship court, a glass back wall. The lines which can be seen are important. On the front wall, the lower red line marks the height of the tin above which the ball must be hit, while the top line running around all the walls, the out-of-court line, is the limiting boundary line, and the ball must not hit it or anything above it. The other lines, the cut line in the middle of the front wall, and the lines on the floor, the short line and half-court line, forming the tee, and the service boxes, relate to the service only. When the server wins a rally, he or she scores a point and continues to serve until he loses a rally. The receiver of that rally then becomes the server, but does not score a point. In a rally, the players must return the ball alternately until one or other fails to make a good return. That is, when the ball hits the tin, when the ball before its return to the front wall bounces twice on the floor, or if the ball is hit out of court. Let's look at those points again, noticing that the server may start to serve from either service box, but after winning a rally in which she served, she shall then serve from the other box. A match is usually the best of 5 games, each game being played to 9 points, except that at 8 all, the receiver may choose to play to 10 points. Let's now have a look at the equipment used. The game is played with rackets. It's a matter of personal preference whether you choose a leather grip or towel grip, a short or long handle, with natural gut or synthetic stringing. A junior racket is available, which is a lightweight model. If in doubt, seek advice from your coach. The rubber ball comes in 4 speeds. The yellow dot, the slowest, is the championship ball, then white, red, and the fastest, the blue dot ball. Choose the ball to suit the conditions of your court. Shoes are important and should give good support, grip, and be comfortable. To avoid marking the floors, soles should be white. And don't forget your towel for that well-earned shower after a hard game of squash. Clothing, which should be comfortable and not too tight, must be white. The grip is called the shake hands grip. Shake hands with the racket, forming a V between the forefinger and thumb, so that the racket shaft runs very nearly through the apex of the V. The fingers grip the handle firmly, but not tightly. The same grip, in this case for a right-handed player, is used for all shots. With two players in an enclosed space, it's important that the swing is correct. An excessive swing on any shot is dangerous. The coach demonstrates to this group of boys the correct swing for a forehand drive. The swing is usually broken down into three parts. First, the backswing. Bend the elbow, keeping racket head up and a cocked wrist. The boy in the front shows that a straight arm causes an excessive swing. Next, striking the ball. Racket head level with the wrist, weight on front foot, knee bent, head down, watching the ball. And finally, the follow-through completes the shot with the racket head well up and the elbow bent. A straight arm is a major cause of excessive swing on the follow-through. Let's look at the complete swing once again. A quick check that the grip is correct. We shall now have a look at the first basic shot in squash, the forehand drive. A good backswing, racket head well up for a good approach to the shot. The player faces the side wall. Note how the weight is transferred onto the front foot as the ball is hit. The ball is hit opposite the front foot. Now let's have a look at the shot in slow motion. The aim of the forehand drive is to hit the ball to a good length. That is, the ball dies on its second bounce at the back of the court. To do this, hit the ball at the top of the bounce with a slightly open racket face, onto the front wall near the cut line. Let's look at the complete shot once more. Finish the shot with a correct follow-through. The ball is hit to a perfect length. On a low shot, it's still important to keep the racket horizontal when the ball is hit. Therefore, bend the knees and back. Do not drop the racket head to meet the low ball. It's important to practice all shots. The player not only learns to control the ball, but also discovers where the ball should hit the front wall and how hard it should be hit for it to bounce to a good length. A similar practice, but with two players. Alternate shots are hit with movement back to the tee after each shot. So far, we've only considered the straight drive shown in this rally. but the forehand can also be hit across the court to the backhand. In the first film, we were introduced to squash, and we learnt the grip and the swing for the forehand drive. In this second film, we shall learn the backhand drive, how to serve, and the return of serve. First, let's recap the forehand drive. A group of children is reminded of the main points of the forehand drive. Face the side wall, hit the ball opposite the left foot and at the top of the bounce. Having watched the demonstration, they try it, initially feeding the ball to themselves, with a good throw up so that the ball bounces well. The coach now feeds the boys from the racket. A quick check that the ball is hit with an open face rather than a closed face. So far, we've only seen right-handed players. Here's a demonstration of the forehand drive by a left-handed player. This time, the shot is played opposite the right foot. Otherwise, the shot is identical to the right-handed player. Good swing, and hitting the ball at the top of the bounce with a good follow-through. Here is the backhand drive in normal speed. The grip is the same as for the forehand. Face the side wall with the racket head well up on the backswing for a good approach. Hit the ball at the top of the bounce, level with the front foot, so that the weight can be transferred into the shot. The ball hits the front wall near the cut line, bouncing back to a perfect length. Let's look at the shot once again in slow motion. In this case, the follow-through is excessive and could be dangerous. Now, a backhand practice for two players. The girls concentrate on hitting the ball well, making sure that the ball is returned to a length. Movement back to the tee after each shot is also important, simulating in practice the game situation. A rally shows the value of such a practice, combined with some cross-court shots played wide, some forehand drives, and finally a winning backhand drive to a length which the opponent is unable to return. The service is one of the most important shots in the game. A player can only score a point if he wins a rally in which he served. It's the only shot in the game when a player has complete control of the ball. Every other shot is governed by the opponent's previous shot. A poor service, with little thought behind it, can put the server at a distinct disadvantage, while a good service can put the server into an attacking position at the start of the rally. The server may even win a rally outright. There are various types of service, but probably the most effective is the lob. The forehand lob service is an extension of the forehand cross-court shot. Here's the shot played from the right-hand service box. Start the service with a good throw-up of the ball, hit it softly and upwards onto the front wall. Eye on the ball when it's struck, then follow the flight of the ball to the opposite back corner of the court, where the opponent waits to receive it. To give the ball height, it's hit with an open racket face. The ball hits the front wall below the top line so that it floats back, hitting the side wall below the out-of-court line towards the back of the court and bounces before reaching the back wall, thereby making it a difficult return for the receiver. Movement to the tee is important. Move forwards rather than backwards. Here's an alternative service from the left-hand service box. The ball is hit lower and normally harder onto the front wall. Because the ball is hit from the middle of the court, the angle is narrower and the ball should therefore return as nearly as possible parallel to the opposite side wall. The alternative to the forehand lob service from the right box is the backhand service. Just as the service is important, so too is the return of service. Here we see a player preparing to receive service. Notice his position of readiness. Racket head up ready, eye on the ball. A good service puts the receiver in a defensive position, allowing the server to hit a winning drop shot at the front of the court. A good service may even win the rally outright. However, a poor service allows the receiver to take the ball early, returning it to a length, allowing the receiver to dominate the tee and forcing the server into a defensive position at the back of the court. The tactical battle starts from the very first shot in a rally. Each player tries to dominate the central tee position. The service and the return of service, whether good or bad, determine who will dominate at the start of every rally. In terms of the rules, a service is good which is not a single fault, or which does not result in the server serving his hand out, a double fault. Let's look at the various ways in which a service becomes a single fault. When the ball hits the front wall above the tin, but on or below the cut line. When 1 foot at least is not grounded within the service box on striking the ball. When the ball, on returning from the front wall, does not land within the opposite back quarter of the court. If the server serves 1 fault, for instance, here the player serves a foot fault, he will serve again, unless the receiver takes a fault which makes the service good and allows the rally to continue. The server serves his hand out, that is a double fault, and loses the stroke if he serves 2 consecutive single faults, or if the ball hits the side wall before the front wall. The ball strikes the tin or the floor. The server misses the ball. The server hits the ball out of court, or the ball hits the server. We have now covered the basic shots. In the next film, we move on to some attacking and defensive strokes, which will add variety to your game.